Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Switch Show. I am your host, Malise Chinoyamafo, and yeah, following last week, the last episode that was published, I got a feedback from a friend of mine, and I was trying to write on something that affects us as not just the youth, but it's something that carries on into adulthood, and it mostly starts off when you're young, and it tends to follow this trend along your adulthood, and eventually when you become very fully mature and all of that. And I was thinking, and she came up with this idea to talk on something called delayed gratification. It's a concept that I have heard, but not well, I say not titled as delayed gratification, but it's a concept I've heard, but I've not understood until I had to look into it and stuff like that. So I would define what it means. I got this definition off of Google, of course, and it says delayed gratification is the resistance to the temptation of an immediate pleasure in the hope of obtaining a valuable and long-lasting reward in the long term. I think that is quite explanatory. You know, we as individuals, I would say in this present time, or in this generation, especially with the current generation that is running the block, which is the Gen Z, we are so obsessed with seeing results, immediate results to things that we've done. You know, one thing about this generation is the insatiable need for trend. Once things start trending, they carry on for a while, and once they are no longer trendy, they just stop. I see sometimes on TikTok, on YouTube, Instagram, it gets to a period of time when let's say a celebrity or someone of influence or an influential person comes up with this notion that productivity is now the trendy thing, that you've got to stay productive to live a healthy life, your mental health. And a lot of people will be like, yeah, I should try that. Yeah, totally, honey, I should definitely try that. But the thing is, once that thing is out of style, once that thing is no longer trendy, it becomes old people stuff. And most of the time, it plays out into how we perceive the outcome of things to be, or how we perceive them to come about. And this is where there are two things about gratification. There is instant and delayed. But in this generation, instant gratification is like our logo. It's like a badge that has been tattooed and printed and embossed, not just into our skin, but into our minds and hearts. We want to do this, and we want to get the results immediately. Majority of this, I believe the reason it's like that is because there is a ton of technological advancement. If you look at the times of our parents, and even before their time, you hear stories. My dad would tell me of stories where he used to go to the farm with his mom, which is my grandmother, and they would have to plant several kinds of crops. They have the corn, the cassava, they have a ton of things they planted, put it all over their farmland. And there comes a time when you harvest. There's the harvesting season. But if I were to bring that to Gen Z at this present time, I bet you nobody will be down for farming, because farming is you don't get to see the result most of the time. That's the thing with farming. You are putting all of your faith into it. You bury a seed into the ground, you water it, you it's out in the sunlight, and you're just waiting patiently for that seed to become a produce. Either it's lettuce, probably you planted the roots, you're waiting it to mature into a carrot or something. A lot of Gen Zers would not want to wait for that. They want the thrill of things. They want to. You hear you only live once, but the truth of the matter is you only die once. There is actually life after death, and a lot of people don't believe in the afterlife. That's a whole conversation for another day. I don't want to bring the afterlife into this. But what I'm talking about today is delayed gratification. So I would like to take her own words. When she sent me the message, she said, maybe sometime you can talk about delayed gratification. That's if you understand the aspect. Well, I think I do now, because most people our age feel they're not doing enough. Me personally, there are things they hoped to have accomplished by now which isn't just working out, and they feel disappointed. Some are sad, some have already just given up. Most of the time we see the rich is in quote, rich people talking about how they had to toil to achieve this or that, but you never really want to believe they went through all that stress because of how made they are. So you could, okay, so she says I could use this platform to let you all know that they're not alone, and there's a lot of people that feel the same way. And I would say I felt the same way too, because initially when I started my podcast, I put out my trailer August 12th, 2020. I was like, hey, this Switch show, this and that, we're going to be relatable, we're going to stop dogmas, we're going to debunk myths and stuff like that. I put out the first official episode August 13th, which was Beyond the Facade, and it got a lot of responses. I posted a link on my social media, and a ton of my friends and family were like, wow, I never knew you had a podcast, keep it up, this and that. Along the line, the how would I put this, the feedback I got from the first episode, it just went downhill pretty fast. I was standing on a mountain, and in the twinkle of an eye, that mountain was leveled into a plain field. Like, it was so fast. I was like, what is wrong with me? Did I do something? Am I not saying the right things? How did this feedback all of a sudden become so scarce? Not a lot of people are saying, oh, I liked your podcast. Not a lot of people saying, oh, your podcast was great. It kind of threw me off for a little bit. I was thrown off, and I was like, whoa, chill. I don't think I'm cut out to do this podcast. I think last year, 2021, I was thinking, I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to continue with my podcast, but there was just this voice ringing in my head that said, little steps matter. I did a podcast about little steps. So if you're struggling with the concept of delayed gratification or if you're struggling with instant gratification, I would suggest you listen to Little Steps. There's a couple episodes at the back. Listen to Little Steps, and it should help you in some way. So that's just it. I was struggling. But then a voice in my head kept reminding me that eventually this podcast will pay off. And it might look so little, it might look so obscure, so minute, so minuscule, so irrelevant to you at the moment. But there's a lot of people that could benefit when you decide to make that move. So the thing is, with delayed gratification, it seems delayed, but it is not denied. There's a quote that got me going again. I heard it somewhere, I can't really remember. It says, destiny can be delayed, but it can't be denied. Truth is, you can delay the explosion and the massiveness, that it can be delayed. The large scale effect might be delayed, but it won't be denied as long as you take the first step. If you don't take the first step and you're like, oh no, it's going to be delayed, but eventually I'm going to get my big hit. You've got to try, make mistakes. There's got to be errors. You might fail. It don't mean that's the end of you. You keep on going. So I'll just read through the remaining notes. The effects of delayed gratification is lower levels of substance abuse, better social skills, and better responses to stress. So when you're looking for the thrill and feels all the time, you just want to get high on something, you just want to experience utopia and this euphoria immediately, you kind of remove yourself from a future of pleasure and splendor. you know you just take away fulfillment when you're trying to get instant gratification. So yeah, that's basically it. I don't know if this was, I still think that I would expand on this concept, because I just wanted to touch the waters, so that you just kind of get an idea of what delayed gratification is. And I'll sign off with this quote from Brian Tracy. It says, the ability to discipline yourself to delay gratification in the short term in order to enjoy greater rewards in the long term is the indispensable prerequisite for success. You heard it. It's Brian Tracy's words, not mine. And Brian Tracy, if you're wondering who he is, he's a New York best-selling author, and he wrote a book called No Excuses, which is a New York Times bestseller. So you can check out his book. This is not sponsored, of course, but you can check out his book. You can, feed from people like that have achieved so much success. So that's about that. I hope to see you in the next episode. Stay positive. Remember to always be positive, to spread love and light. So catch you on the next one. Remember, illuminate your world. God bless.